3, 2, 1. You cheated not only the game, but yourself. You didn't grow. You didn't improve. You took a shortcut and gained nothing. You experienced a hollow victory. Nothing was risked and nothing was gained. It's sad that you don't know the difference. We're Sardonicast.
Damn.
I'm Adam from Your Movie Sucks.
Did we do the opening last time? Like, the three of us introduced ourselves?
We kind of got distracted.
We keep forgetting to do it.
You know who
I thought we only did it
are.
once. I'm Dick
Yeah,
from Dick the Movie Maker.
What the?
Oh, do I have to do a Dick one as well? I'm Dick
don't have
from
to do
I Dick
anything.
Everything.
I Dick everything.
Oh God! Have you ever heard? There's a parody song on YouTube called "The Fresh Prince of Dick Butt," where it's like it's the best thing in the world, and it's like it's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme, and this guy doing a really really funny impression of Will Smith's voice as he's singing the song, and he replaces pretty much, I don't know, every fifth word with "dicks in your butt." And so he's the Fresh Prince of Dick Butt, and you're moving with your auntie and uncle to get dicks in your butt. So I hailed a cab and yelled, "Yo, Dick, in my butt!" Like a couple of guys who were up to no good started putting dicks in my butt. It's everybody should look this up. It's really funny.
Yeah, it sounds funny. After the podcast.
Yeah. Speaking of podcasts, Jason Johnson, the actor of Cool Cat, recently went on a podcast called Super Media Bros Podcast, and this is his whole 2-hour-long revealing everything about everything that happened between him and Derek. And I started playing it as soon as I woke up, and so I didn't have time to finish it today. I was listening to it like on a Bluetooth speaker in the shower. I didn't make it through the whole thing because we had to start recording this, but some notable moments would be supposedly that allegedly Derek wouldn't pay him until he helped wash off the convertible. So, like, made him wash the car.
Made him wash his car.
Yeah, and what's funny is the Cool Cat convertible was a rental. So he, like, put all these stickers and shit on, like, a rental convertible. And then they had to wash it off every day so that they could return it to the car rental place.
To be a fly on the wall.
Man,
it would be glorious.
It's so fascinating. I'm just like...
I would like to listen to this.
I'm so ecstatic about everything. You know?
So did this interview come out today?
I think so,
for
yeah.
us?
Well, it was posted on my
wow.
subreddit today. So who knows? It might have been last night, but I've been busy.
Right.
The supposedly the very uncomfortable cat suit he was in had a mechanism in the right hand where if he squeezed it, the mouth would open slightly, which is just bonkers to me because
Really?
like,
well, they didn't show that off in the movie.
yeah, exactly.
Did
So
they?
they would strategically, do a close-up or whenever Cool Cat had to open his mouth so that you weren't looking at him just squeezing his hand.
Yeah.
But that's bonkers to me because, like, if you look up any like video on YouTube of, how to make your own fursuit head or something like that, people just use their jaws. You just have it's really simple. You just attach it to your jaw. Why would you use a mechanism in your hand? That doesn't make any sense. And that seems really awkward. He said it gave him blisters all the time. Apparently, this was the one that the last notable moment that I got to right before I had to start setting up for this. Derek's main direction was always telling Jason to shake his butt more. And he would say, "Kids keep messaging me and telling me that they want to see Cool Cat shake his butt more." And I heard that and I screamed.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure that really happened.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
I have no idea. But anyway.
Like kids watch Cool Cat even.
I know! There are no kids that watch Cool Cat, so it's immediately concerning.
Everyone who
Surely
watches
just be
Cool
trolls.
Cat is like in their 20s and watching it
Yeah.
ironically. Or I hope so anyway. I hope kids aren't watching it.
Yeah, if you want to find the podcast, just go to the link in my subreddit. It has 65 views.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description
I'm putting
too.
it in my favorites on my thing, so...
Good.
Oh, nice. So I'll have to watch
I
that.
made it 35 minutes out of 2 hours and 15, so those are those were the main
Wow.
takeaways from that.
Yeah, we'll go in more depth like next time.
The rest
We'll
of it is
analyze
stuff
it.
that I already knew. But speaking of disasters. Apparently Disney's canceling a bunch of movies because Dark Phoenix bombed so hard. And I mentioned
they're canceling Fox movies. Projects that they're going to make in the future.
Yeah, what did Fox even have planned? I thought Dark Phoenix was their last thing.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where that
rattle.
X-Men movie stands. Do you know the New Mutants? Do you know what's going to happen with that?
Last I heard, it was delayed till either the end of this year or early next year.
But they haven't pulled the plug on that yet. They're still
presumably they've spent so much on it, they might as well release it at this point. They clearly shot the film. I don't know what else they've got to do on it, but might as well cut their losses and just shit it out at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these were just on the slate though. One of them is a Die Hard movie called McClane.
Oh really? Dodged a bullet there then, Christ.
Yeah, and I don't think Bruce Willis would even be up for that now. I think he showed up drunk to set on something. Like a recent movie? I don't know what.
Really?
Yeah. And he got kicked off. I
That's
mean, his
funny.
last film I saw anyway was Reprisal.
I wonder
and
what's
that was
going
a
on with
fucking
him in his
disaster.
head.
He just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, do you think he's deeply
he
unhappy
does not care.
or something?
Yeah,
I think he's just senile.
depressed. I don't know what's going on.
How old is he?
I think he's
He can't be
depressed.
that
and
There's an
alcoholic.
age you get where you stop giving a shit about everything. Where you don't care what you wear when you leave the house. You don't care how you act. You're going to butt in line. You're going to do whatever the fuck you want because fuck you, I'm old. I'm going to die soon. You know? That's
There's
Bruce
some
Willis
actors
now.
that
He's
aren't
like, I don't give a
though.
shit anymore.
I feel like Schwarzenegger or Stallone, they still care.
I'm not saying everybody.
He's only 64. That's not that old.
Yeah, not everybody. But like Bruce Willis is a special case. He does not give a shit. Even in those Expendables movies or movies with his friends, he just shows up for a scene and mumbles. Like he's terrible.
I would feel pretty old once I'm 64. I don't know.
Yeah. They were still gonna make McClane though, even with all that.
Yeah.
Until now.
So like I opened up a bunch of different articles on this. There's only one that's contradicting this, and it like doesn't have any sources, and I don't know what the hell is this website? What the hell is this? What?
You might want to leave it. You're gonna get a virus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like it's literally just the article is just saying like, yeah, we incorrectly reported that hundreds of Fox projects were canceled by Disney's. This has since been proven false, but it's like where was proven false by what?
Maybe Disney owns the website.
Okay. Yeah, there's comments underneath saying it's fake news and clickbait. Okay, good. Never mind.
Okay.
I was like,
But
it
so it is real, what we're talking about.
There's
Yeah.
only literally one website. I'm not even gonna say the name of the web. I'm gonna edit out the name of the website.
Okay.
Because
I've been on sites like that before. They're just like gossip sites where everything they post is bullshit. And then under it, they have those disclaimers. Like, this has all
Satire.
actually been proven to be false. Yeah. It's like the headline is like Megan Fox impregnated Ryan Gosling or something. Like something that makes no sense.
Oh, like tabloids, like the
Yeah, like
grocery
ridiculous. And then you click
store
on it, it's like, oh, it's all bullshit.
impulse items.
Yeah, those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone
Aliens.
buys those anymore. Yeah,
I don't know
aliens
whoever
have been
bought
found.
them. What's the point?
Hey,
When it's all, I don't know. Why do they even sell them here? I can understand why they'd sell them in America. Burn. Ouch. Snap.
okay.
Got him.
But why do you think they cancelled a Die Hard movie if it was the X-Men movie that flopped? Is it just based on the higher-ups and their decision-making and Disney just looking at them and being like, nah, let's restructure this?
Do you think it's an excuse?
Because they're
to
up their
just
own
get
asses.
rid of all these things anyway? I think they were just going to get rid of all this shit anyway because they didn't want it. Like, who wants to see... Another movie on here is a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie.
Oh, no.
Well,
yeah, like, who wants to see
the
that?
last time I had one of those, it went well. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Chronicle 2.
Damn.
Like, written by Max Landis. Like, who the fuck...
Ooh, okay.
Like, who likes him anymore? Wasn't he accused of sexual assault or something?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is a recent article, too. June 18th. Yeah. Accused by multiple women of sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So, no one gives a fuck about that.
Big oof.
Chronicle movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to happen either.
No.
No one's screaming for a sequel.
What were the three big names of Chronicle? It was Dane DeHaan, Max Landis, and fucking who's the
Josh
director?
Trank.
Josh Trank. Another nightmare human being. So who gives a fuck about this movie?
Yeah, there's a big comprehensive post on Reddit, it looks like, of just like all the projects that they scrapped.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that they're not canceling, Terminator Dark Fate,
Well, that's done.
Ad Astra. No, yeah, just a bunch of things that are like ready to release.
Yeah.
Ford v Ferrari. Like, why would they cancel them? It's like, well, you already have the movie. Obviously, the Avatar movies. Apparently, like Planet of the Apes movies are still being made. That's what I heard on one of them.
More of them.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe they're making more.
Like spin-offs, maybe.
Yeah.
Not with Caesar, but like
it just never ends, does it? It just can't end. Nothing can end.
Because you need to make money. This is an industry.
They're rebooting the Zorro movies?
Of course.
Oh, yeah. Bob's Burger movie is still happening. It's just like, I don't know. Half of this is just learning about all of these projects in production that are just so ridiculous of just reboot, sequel, reboot.
Yeah.
You know, and it like Disney's rebooting Home Alone now. Like, okay.
Really?
It's not like it matters, I guess. Like, what's going to happen is everybody's going to complain about it online. People are going to be like, oh, wow, my childhood. And then they'll release a trailer, and people will be like, you know what, this actually looks pretty good. And the new Kevin will be using Amazon Alexa to like, kill the bad guys or whatever. He'll be like, I'm going to set up traps in my home. And they'll be like, wow, this is so cool and relevant. I'm glad they updated it for our times. Everybody's opinion will shift. As soon as the trailer comes out, they'll be like, oh, you know what, I was hating the idea of this before, but now it looks pretty good. What's going to happen?
Be success.
Yeah, it'll make lots of money.
Yeah, because it's a Home Alone movie.
Yeah. He's going to use Alexa.
Even if everyone
guaranteed.
hated that trailer that hypothetically comes out, it would still make millions of dollars because no one cares. Yeah, like because they know what Home Alone is, so they'll
Aladdin
go see
was a laughing stock, and it's made over $1 billion. So
yeah, and so will Sonic,
yeah.
and so will any of these things that we complain about.
It'll be really interesting seeing how Disney influences these Fox properties, because we've seen it already with Disney properties. Like, it's already just so obnoxious and annoying, like, oh my god, new Aladdin, new Lion King, whatever. It'll be really interesting to see what kind of approach that they take with a Fox title. Like, they're not going to, after Dark Phoenix, I don't think they're going to allow much creative control to those who were making the decisions at Fox. Like, they bought the company, right? So theoretically, there's still a bunch of people from Fox working for those projects. I think Bob Iger or whoever at Disney is just going to step in and be like, you're not allowed to have creative freedom here. Remember, Dark Phoenix, that's my excuse here. Haha. So, sad day. sad decade for movies.
Yeah.
Everything's just so sad. I was actually, my friend was visiting from out of town. We had this conversation about like sequels and remakes, and so I literally just went on boxofficemojo.com and I looked at the top 10 grossing films of every year, and you literally have to go to like 99
to see an original movie
to get
it's a sad sight.
It's not just like to get a majority original films in the top 10, because that was a thing.
Okay.
Right now it's unheard of. Like, a majority of the films in the top 10 box office are not a sequel or a remake.
Yeah, I would
or
say
like
every
a Pixar
film
movie
on that list, like after the year 2000, is an animated movie or a sequel or a reboot or remake or something based on something. The only original movies are animated,
exactly,
I believe.
Because you can make like a
with
Pixar
the exception of maybe a
kids
2.
movie, and it doesn't have to be like a reboot or a remake, because they're kids. They don't have nostalgia. Why would you know? Like,
and it's the brand of the company too. It's Pixar selling it, and it's Disney selling it. Not
new
just
Pixar.
The brand of the
you can
film
get them to
itself.
watch whatever.
Yeah.
It's so easy to market to children. Just tell them that they need it. If you don't have this doink it, you're a baby. You don't want to be a baby, do you?
How long till it runs out, though? That's my question. Surely we're going to be clawing so much of these old properties that people are just going to be like, I don't know what this random thing is you've just ripped up from the 60s. I don't care about this no more. Like, they're doing it so quickly. They're making so many of these reboots and sequels. What properties are even going to be left in 10, 20 years?
Well, they'll just do it again. They'll just reboot all of them again, which is kind of what they're already doing. They remade Halloween 10 years ago.
We're going to be stuck in a time loop of the 80s, 70s through 90s, because all of our remakes will be remade, and there will be no new properties to be remade. So, like, we won't have to... What are people going to have nostalgia for from this decade? Just reboots and remakes of shit from the 80s. So it's like we'll never progress forward in time. We've cut ourselves off. We're stuck in a time loop. Guys.
Not that nostalgia's a bad thing either. I think celebrate. I mean, one of my favorite movies this year was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that's set in the '60s, and it's about just like glamorizing the '60s. But you can still fucking do something new. Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Well, speaking of movies that I was gonna say, I don't know, but we all saw Midsommar.
Say it.
I was gonna.
That's an original movie.
Yeah, but it's also pretty inspired. It's pretty inspired. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is an original movie for sure, don't get me wrong. But it's also very, very similar to some other movies.
Wicker Man.
Yeah, spoiler warning for Midsommar. We're going to spoil Midsommar because we've all seen it. Alex, you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood yet, have you? Is that not out yet?
It's still not out here.
That's so funny.
Ain't out here.
Yeah, sorry, everybody. There were some people complaining that we didn't get into spoiler
Yeah, I saw. There's
that.
nothing I can do, I'm afraid.
Yeah, we'll revisit it once you've seen it. Just let us know.
It's better because it gives us more time to think about it.
Yeah.
Let it sit with us. Yeah. So it would be a better conversation.
Excuse me. Anyway, Ralph.
Well, we all saw this, though.
Why don't you introduce Midsommar? Because it's your, favorite movie of the year?
Yeah, favorite movie of the year. I loved it. It's one of the best horror movies I've seen in a while. It's directed by Ari Aster, who made Hereditary, which was also great. Mm-hmm. And it's about, I forgot the girl's name, but it's played by Florence Pugh and some guy who was in Transformers 4.
Yeah. I thought it was like Pew.
I think it's Pew, right? Yeah, I can always call her Florence Pugh.
Okay. All right.
I like Florence Pugh better. Yeah, but I'll say Pew. But anyway, her whole family dies. Her bipolar sister kills herself and her parents.
That's my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It was a very fucked up scene.
You know me.
So to make up for it, her boyfriend takes her to a nice vacation in Sweden along with his friends who don't want her there. And it's just a bunch of fucked up shit from there.
Yeah.
So what do we think of Midsommar?
It's excellent. It's a thinker as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It hit hard for me because recently I actually had a friend who was like, we lost him to a cult effectively. And this was like, wow, this is really deconstructing that thought process that these cults go into to like really dismantle someone's psyche and rebuild them up as part of their cult. It's frightening, and it is a great subject of horror.
That was one of the most fascinating aspects to me. And it was handled very realistically, I think, how people are manipulated, and when you're in such a state of grief and despair, how these people can take you in. And even though they're kind of fucked up, they give you that sense of purpose and family that you needed, almost more so than she had back in America. And it was beautiful and horrific at the same time. And that's how I felt about the whole film. We're in spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, I said spoilers. I said spoilers a while ago.
Okay.
Don't worry, I got you covered. I knew you'd spoil it anyway.
Cool. Yeah, of course, yeah.
But for me, it was so impressive that they managed to take a traditional setting that would not be used in horror, like a sunny, these well-lit areas. Like, horror movies don't do that. They rely on darkness for scares the majority of the time. So I think it was really impressive how that environment was used in a really creative and fresh way to put a spin on, like a horror genre. Like, there have been cult movies before, but it's really going against the normal grain of that type of movie.
Yeah,
and
I love
much
that
like Hereditary, like there's just this oppressive, like creepy tone to everything that everything just feels a bit off, like in a good way. And there's loads of little secrets in the background so you can kind of figure out what's happening before it's going to, if you know what kind of film it is. Because I didn't watch any trailers for this movie, and I just went in knowing like Hereditary was sort of structured this type of way. And I was pleased that it was kind of similar in respects to like the visual storytelling, where I could kind of figure out where it was going, and not in a frustrating way, but in a kind of satisfying way that I feel like's earned.
It was similar, but also an improvement from Hereditary. That's how I felt about it.
An improvement? Like everything?
Well,
or like, what do you mean?
You were saying... Yeah, I think in every way, basically. Okay. But what you were saying about how it's similar to Wicker Man and inspired by other cult movies, I totally agree with you. But what 100%. Makes this so unique is the execution of it, like Alex was saying.
Yeah.
I got some shit on Letterboxd for saying this was so original and unique, but it was the presentation of it. It was the fact that it's not dark at all for most of the film, and it's all sunny and everyone's very happy. It's very manipulative in that way. The music is like a waltz almost. Like it's not scary at all until maybe some like crescendoing violins and creepy stuff at the more disturbing parts. But most of it's pretty normal. I love the designs of the buildings and all that. They looked so odd, but kind of colorful at the same time. And same way with like the drawings. It was all so disconcerting because you got the sense that they're trying to cover up the fact that it's horrific, which makes it even more horrific.
Yeah, it eases you in like it eases in the characters that are joining the cult.
Yeah.
Like it starts off all kind of inviting and nice and you're with them. Like, how's this going to go wrong? Because you know obviously something's going to go wrong and it's a horror movie, but you're just waiting and you start to see the seeds being planted with like these weird lines of dialogue that clearly imply something else to like the surface level interaction that the characters are hearing, which is quite fun.
Yeah. And it never got fucked up to the point of being comical. It was always very grounded. Like there's a scene when two people jump off a cliff, and like I could picture that being so goofy in a film with like comical sound effects, crunching bones and whatever. But the way it was executed and cut, it was so well done, and the way they just dragged out the silences was very effective. But Adam, I want to hear you about about this movie.
I want to There's plenty about the movie that's comical. I mean,
there's plenty that intentionally comical.
Okay, you're just saying that specific scene.
Yeah, okay. I guess that specific scene. There's scenes that are trying to be disturbing that could come off as comical.
Yeah, the sex scene is very comical. Like it would be difficult to imagine that wasn't supposed to be comical. And I think that some people watch this film thinking that it's not supposed to be because they came out of Hereditary and they're expecting this like horror movie, and I think a lot of people get to that point and the audience is laughing and they're like, wow, this is dumb, and they hate it for that. I think a lot of people have that experience because this is a pretty polarizing movie. There are a lot of people that really did not enjoy this movie.
Oh, really?
I don't think I loved it as much as either of you. I still love a lot about it though. There's many things to appreciate. The reason probably why the opening scene is my favorite. Like I love a good punch to the gut. I love like an emotional impact. I thought that was like really brutal. I loved it. And after that point, it kind of like there is a tone shift. Hereditary is a movie that after watching Midsommar, I assumed was like probably an hour shorter. It turns out it was only like 15 minutes shorter. They're very, very differently paced. Hereditary is a very long movie, but it feels very fast-paced. A lot of people say, like, I said that once. People are like, what are you talking about? Hereditary is super slow. Like, it doesn't feel that way to me at all. Every single thing about it feels justified. Every single, like, it doesn't stop. It's always progressively moving forward. There's new things to discover, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas Midsommar is something that, like, it takes its time, and the majority of what I get out of it is essentially the build-up and the character interactions. So what I love about the movie is like the dynamic between the main girl and her boyfriend, just how their characters are explored, how it feels very honest and real, like it's coming from a real place. It doesn't feel fake at all. It's a really genuine movie in terms of how it writes and presents its characters, and I love that so much. But at the same time, it is also building up in like kind of a horror movie fashion. I felt personally underwhelmed by the horror elements of this film outside of the opening scene. By the time that it got to the end, because the most of the movie is build up. Like I loved the build up so much, but by the time it got to what it was showing, by what it was building up to, I was kind of like, that wasn't, like I didn't feel anything new from it.
You're hoping something more shocking.
It wasn't new. It was just like another, Wicker Man kind of like thing. Like it was well shot. Don't get me wrong. Like that last scene was well shot, but it was just like, oh, you're doing this thing I've seen before, and it wasn't like all that scary. It wasn't like I didn't find it emotionally impactful. However, on a second watch, I might find it more emotionally impactful now that I've read some interpretations about how it's not really about what it's showing. It's more about her breaking off relationships. Basically, each character is like a representation of some sort of like toxic behavior from a relationship or a loved one, and that this is kind of like this metaphorical idea of learning to break free from that and to try and cut toxic people out of your life. And I really like that interpretation, and I'll probably get more out of the movie the next time I see it just based on that alone. But still, there is something I was really, really itching for in terms of like a horror movie experience that I hoped I would get out of it. And it was just, there was mostly build up to nothing that I found super special or scary or gory or wild or crazy. Just the opening scene was awesome for me in that sense.
I don't think it's even trying to go for that.
I know, right?
I think the horror comes from the subdued realism of it, because we've seen like these crazy cults like Jonestown and all these things that have happened in real life that are on this same scale. So it's just kind of horrific to see it before our eyes, like just unfold without really holding back particularly.
Yeah, crazy cults everywhere, like Zack Snyder fan base, and we see it everywhere.
But Ralph, you've seen it
crazy.
Twice, haven't you? I've heard the film flows a lot better the second.
I haven't. I've only seen it once.
Oh, sorry, I thought you'd seen it twice.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, I've heard that the film flows better on a repeat viewing, because
I'm sure
I just kind of know what it's up to.
Oh, I'm sure once you know where it's going. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I want to talk about the characters a bit more. Oh, were you going to say something, Alex?
No, I was just going to mention I did find it a bit long.
Okay.
And I was trying to figure out where it was going. And yeah, you did feel the length, unlike I thought there was a better sort of build up and flow to Hereditary.
Yeah.
It sort of crescendoed a lot more. Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely a slow burn, this one.
Yeah, exactly.
And after that initial jolt, the first 10 minutes, it takes its time, and nothing very insane happens until much later, like midpoint. But the characters, like what you were saying, Adam, feel very believable, even though they could easily be like stock horror cliche characters.
Honest.
Yeah,
it's not just believable, but like purposeful. Like it has, these characters are these way because the director is trying to say something, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just like realistic as in like, oh, I can believe this guy could exist. It's like the subtleties in how they interact with each other is like kind of like emotionally painful in ways to people who have experienced any kind of relationship like that. It's like sad, and just like these really simple lines of dialogue and interactions and like, I guess even body language or the way that they look at each other is just something that I really appreciate about it.
Yeah. I think their motivations made sense for staying there too, for the most part. There's that whole angle of he has to write his college thesis, and they're both competing to do that.
Yeah.
It was like all these little character dynamics that were very interesting to watch while this whole fucked up scenario is unfolding in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it helps mitigate that thing that so many horror movies fall into, that trap of why are the characters sticking around? Like, why are they here when this is so, like, shocking and absurd?
Yeah.
Why are they sticking around? They should be running. They should be gone. And I did feel that a little bit towards the middle of the movie, where I was like, after some of the things they've seen and how weird and off and creepy everything is, I buy a couple of the characters not really having much pushback because they're supposed to be sort of easing into the cult. But especially, like, the boyfriend, to me, seemed like I would have liked to have seen a bit more pushback from him, because he just sort of was like, okay, whatever.
They should have made him a little more clear, especially toward the end when he takes the sip of the mushroom, like the last sip that he ever takes.
I guess it also he was like the only person I wasn't crazy about his performance. Yeah, there was one particular part in the movie. It's been a while since I've seen it now, but I remember it was a line, and I was like, I really did not enjoy the delivery of that. And I was not convinced.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought all the acting was pretty good.
No, I think aside from that, the actual character dynamic was very interesting and well written, but there was just some performance things that just stood out to me.
It's the guy from Transformers 4, so maybe it's that was like the Michael Bay coming out in his performance.
One of my favorite bits of performance that stuck out to me was actually from him when he's having a bad trip, because like at that moment, like his body language, the way he's like, someone will like hold up an object in front of his face and he like looks at it in his head, like kind of, cringes backwards. I feel like the performances of these characters under the influence of hallucinogenics was very, very believable. I also love that they put detail into, showing their pupils being dilated and stuff like that. These little details.
Yeah, the effects they would do on the tree
really cool.
and the skies and all that. That was really cool.
And the leaves, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The replications also. Like the visual replications were really cool. Like that was very believable.
There's a lot of cool effects.
Yeah. Psilocybin.
Yeah. There was all kind of subtle things.
Clearly
and then, really
that.
obvious stuff like that.
Yeah. The guy, the douchey guy is the same guy as played Colin in Bandersnatch.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
He was very good too.
I didn't know that was him when I first saw it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Very different character.
I like that actor. He's a good character actor.
Yeah. He was a dick in the movie, but I understood his character, and I found him kind of funny how he's just wanted to have like a good trip with the guys.
Yeah, I mean, those people exist.
It's a character you need, yeah.
Florence Pugh is a very believable crier as well. Her cries were very believable and realistic.
Yeah,
but that's just what I mean. Like, all of these things that could easily be laughable, like fucking people crying at the top of their lungs. It's so bad in most movies. But here they play it, and it's like, holy fuck, this is really disturbing. Yeah. And then the comedic stuff feels very intentional. And disturbing also. So you're, like, nervous laughing at it. So even that shit is really disturbing.
I remember reading that but in both Hereditary and Midsommar, there were like multiple actors who got like PTSD from how intense some of their performances were, because they're just they're so emotional. They hold nothing back. It feels real, and it really helps. Like the more absurd things feel more grounded because of characters like that.
Ari Aster certainly knows how to work with his actors. That's for sure. So like even if you don't like Midsommar, even if you don't like Hereditary or whatever, it's like. It's clear that this guy has some talent. It's clear that he's a director to be looking out for. The only real things you could possibly really criticize him for his films would be like whether or not you liked what his movies were going for, right? What their goals were.
Yeah.
But in terms of
story
execution,
on the screenplay level,
I mean, pretty fantastic. Like he's great.
Even as a writer, he knows how to put his characters through just very challenging, horrific scenarios so that they become more interesting and fleshed out. Yeah. Which is something, again, most people fucking... There's a character in a house, and they're walking around the house. In a horror movie, anyway. Like that, The Haunting of Sharon Tate movie, where, like,
I really want to
just
see
fucking
that
doing
based on how
nothing
much you hate
for an hour. It's terrible! Yeah, one day.
Hilary Duff.
Yeah, I'm hoping Ari Aster kind of experiments a bit more in the future, because you could see how this almost formula could get old after. I'd like a trilogy of these kind of movies, because they're all sort of tonally somewhat similar with their like atmosphere and the way they're presented. I just like to see. You don't want the director to just fall into a box and be like, yeah, we're kind of used to this now. We don't really care anymore.
Oh, he makes the fucked up movies. It's like, okay, that gets old after a while.
Yeah, exactly.
He said that he's going to try and take a break from horror at some point.
Okay.
So
that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
There's an article from IndieWire. Oh fuck! I feel like I have to sneeze. I'm so sorry. This is terrible.
Look at the light.
My lights aren't even on in my room. I'm just sitting in the dark.
What the fuck?
I forgot to turn them on, and I didn't want to stop.
Turn your lights on. We'll stop the podcast right now. Go turn your lights on.
Hold on.
You're in the dark.
It's not that dark. There's like light coming from like the windows.
The window.
But it's daytime here, but
looking like a hacker on your computer right now.
Oh yeah, I got the whole like green text. I'm hacking into the mainframe, yeah.
Put a hoodie on.
I hacked hard enough that I found this article from IndieWire. I hacked into the article, and it says that after Midsommar, Ari Aster, I don't know how to pronounce his first name or his last name even. He wants to make a zonky nightmare comedy. Is what he's saying. He says either
that sounds interesting.
Either that or a sickly domestic melodrama. So I don't know what the hell he's gonna do, but. At least I know it'll be well shot.
His like short film?
No, I just linked that in the
Did you hear about
Discord,
the Johnsons or something?
I haven't seen that
I think I
yet.
have seen it.
Okay.
Yeah. It could be something like that, where it's like a drama Or okay, it's like a drama or a melodrama, but it's really disturbing. Like that film. That film has some really disturbing themes in it. I recommend that one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll definitely
but even if he just made a horror film again, as long as it's not about cults and let's just do something a little different.
Yeah, I want to see him make something where I don't feel like it's just a reimagining of another movie. Because don't get me wrong, I love how it's presented differently. But at the same time, I watch Midsommar, and all I'm thinking about is, what's that movie? The Wicker Man. I just lost the title.
Yeah.
And I watch
thinking of The Wicker Man
I watch
too.
Hereditary, and I'm like, this is great, but it's kind of like a worse version of Rosemary's Baby and a better version of Don't Look Now at the same time. To me, anyway.
Yeah, again, I just think about it different. I see those influences in it, but I also see it as its own work, and I love that it made something new.
Oh, they're totally their own thing, but like...
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying you're like,
it's
ripping off, but...
That I couldn't even point out what it's inspired from. I want to see... Like, you can be inspired by many different movies to make something. But as soon as it's like really obvious just by watching it and not necessarily like an interview, like it's there can be like, I guess, ideas or themes or like tiny bits of it that you could say could be related to something else, and you could see how it's inspired by that. But like for both of the feature films he's made, it's been like painfully obvious like what he's going for in terms of like, I saw a movie and I kind of wanted to do that, but I'll do it differently, sort of thing. I want to see something where I don't feel that.
Yeah, I get that. Also, The Wicker Man, there's so many movies that are similar to Wicker Man. It's become like a whole genre of films. There's like the Get Out is very similar to Wicker Man too.
Nothing has been as similar to Wicker Man as this movie in terms of movies that have been inspired by Wicker Man.
This is the most similar.
There's been tons of things inspired by Wicker Man, Rosemary's Baby.
It's better than the Wicker Man remake.
But nothing so far has been as close to the original as what Ari Aster makes, is what I'm saying.
I would agree with you, but the thing that makes it that okay to me is the clear, like, inspired presentation. Like, it really elevates the material, the way it's the uniqueness of what the director's doing, just with how they're using the camera and the music, and there's just a lot of like subtlety that especially stands out to me in the current horror landscape, where it's not a film full of jump scares and the typical kind of stuff. I always think about that scare in Hereditary where you think you see something in the background and it's like just moves out the frame a bit. I love that kind of horror, and that kind of stuff makes it just stand out a bit more to me than just making these recreations of things you love from when he was a kid or whatever.
Have either of you seen Rosemary's Baby, by the way?
Yeah, I love Rosemary's Baby.
It's amazing.
A long time ago.
Yeah. I love
also,
that
there's
movie.
different... Yeah, I love that movie. It's so great. We should recommend it one day, maybe.
Yeah, totally.
But there's a different intent for this film, too. From what I remember about Wicker Man, I saw it a while ago, years, but it wasn't about grief and relationships and like the end of relationships in this way.
Different
goals.
Not
at all.
But on like in terms of like, I guess a surface level interpretation, in terms of like
the basic plot is very similar.
Not necessarily like the structure or the tone or like the metaphors and what the director's trying to communicate thematically, but like in terms of the point A to point B, what the characters go through, find a cult, get burned.
I totally get what you're saying. But there's a lot of people who use what you're saying as an excuse to say like, oh, this movie's a totally unoriginal piece of shit, or like something like that.
I know that.
I think we are all saying this film has clear intent and it's so original in its own thing, but it's also inspired by these other films that you should also see because they're great.
I wouldn't say it's
like
a piece
Wicker
of
Man.
shit because of it, for sure.
No.
I definitely have mixed feelings on Midsommar. Appreciate a lot about it. I'm hoping to enjoy it more on my second watch, and it is something that I'm considering for my top of 2019 or whatever, for sure. But definitely wouldn't call it my favorite movie of the year.
Well, I love everything about it. I even love the opening mural, the little drawing of like that lays out the whole story.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, that's nice.
The score is fantastic.
Yeah.
All the performances are excellent.
Really well shot.
Yeah, everything we said. Really well shot. 5 out of 5 for me.
7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Closer to an 8 than a 6.
So far, it's one of the more interesting... Oh,
Ralph?
No, that was me.
It was a good guess.
So far, it's one of the more interesting films of the year for me. I'll have to see how it flows on the repeat viewing. Otherwise, I might have to bump my score down a little bit. Don't think it was quite as tight as Hereditary or as frightening, but I think the setting, just makes up for that. 4 stars out of 5 from me.
Epic
film.
All right, well, I'm going to turn on my light. Hold on.
Yeah, go on.
Thank you. You don't look like a gremlin over there.
All right, I'm back.
Isn't that better? You can see.
Yeah, I guess.
Not as much eye strain when the only light is coming from your computer and you're looking.
It wasn't like
directly at
pitch
it.
black. It just wasn't.
Yeah. But that's what I'm imagining in my head is you in a hacker room.
Yes.
Fucking on the keyboard.
Hunched over. Permanent back problems. Like, all right.
Yeah, Mr.
Robot. Speaking of other movies, we watched a movie called Southland Tales, and
yes, I'm so hyped for this.
I realized as I was editing the last episode that I totally fucking stole your intro for Death Proof because that was your recommendation, and I wound up introducing it. So I'm gonna let you introduce this one. So spoiler alert, everybody.
You're gonna let him introduce.
Why do you do this to me?
Hey, whoa! I'm just trying to be fair. Because I stole your Death Proof one.
That's bullshit, Alex. I'm with you.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Do you not want to?
No, this is fun.
If you,
this is fun.
Okay. Well, spoiler warning for this movie, everybody. I'm so sorry.
When I was watching the movie, I was like, I cannot wait for Adam to explain the plot of this fucking film right here. Southland Tales, is Richard Kelly's film after Donnie Darko, which was a huge hit. Everyone liked, critical success. Everyone was hyped for the next movie, so all these actors jumped on board for a story, and a really out there story, which is kind of what can be best described as Richard Kelly's Star Wars in terms of like world building and epic scope and like science fiction universe, going as far as the film taking place over 6 acts, 3 of which are in the movie, those being 4, 5, and 6, the first 3 being graphic novels. So the film just kind of starts and it's a bunch of like really out there scenes about scientists discover this new energy force by harnessing the power of ocean currents, but then the trade-off from that energy buildup is like the discovery of some drug that makes people really high, but then
depending on what color you have it set to,
but
there's different things.
It takes clear inspiration from like Brazil or even Pulp Fiction, where you have these converging characters and storylines that all come together at the end.
I was gonna say Mulholland Drive, Inland Empire, like all those
Philip K. Dick novels. Like there's all sorts of inspiration. It's trying to satirize every element of culture, whether it be like sexuality, oppressive governments, communism, capitalism, literally everything. Every single theme ever is in the film. And it's sort of about the apocalypse, I guess, World War III and the apocalypse, and how these people coming together results in the end of the world. And it's a colossal piece of shit, I'm afraid. I hated this fucking film. I hated this film. I couldn't. I said, I was watching it with someone, I was like, if I didn't have to finish this for Sardonicast, I would have turned it off by now. I couldn't handle it.
It feels like it would end at like so many different points. And I was watching this with my roommates.
It could have ended at any point.
And I felt bad for them because I was the only one that knew it was like 2.5 hours long. And so like every moment where it's like, it seems like it would just like finish up, I'm like, no, I know it's still going, but they don't.
Who compared this to Under the Silver Lake? Was it Mark
Kermode? And apparently a lot of people.
Yeah.
Apparently not just him.
I didn't get that comparison at all.
No, I see the similarities in that they're both like a deconstructionist view of LA, which is also like, that's why I mentioned like David Lynch movies. There's like some Doctor Strangelove in there too, with like the government angle.
Yeah.
They're also both like ambitious second features after a first success, right? So in that sense, sure, you could draw that parallel. But I think it's like
execution.
Is it because both are hard to follow?
It's just, I mean, I wouldn't even call Under the Silver Lake hard to follow. Like, and I'm
no,
like,
I wouldn't either.
You could
I would say tonally, it's very clear what it is.
Yeah.
It's like a noirish dark comedy.
Yeah, and like I wouldn't.
And this is like, what the fuck? It's like a science fiction Like they introduced time travel like halfway through the movie, right? Did they
Yeah.
mention it earlier?
Yeah. Well, no, if you read the prequel novels, which I hope you guys did, then you'd know.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you?
I read one of them.
I don't
God.
like that.
I read the first one
Yeah.
this morning in bed, and I was just like, okay, whatever.
They were literally special features on the Blu-ray. You could like just chapter select through these pages.
Really?
And I got to the first page of the first one, and I was like, I'm not fucking doing this. Like, what do you want me to do?
I finished the first one. I gave it a chance.
How was it?
Okay.
And I mean, it gives you slightly more context, I suppose, but the whole time I was just like, why did the movie not start this way? It's such a more obvious point to introduce us to this ultra-complex world instead of... The beginning of the film is such a mess. It's just this huge
It looks like
exposition
shit.
dump with this like corny... Yeah, it looks terrible.
Oh, the news
art
footage is
direction is so
awful.
bad.
Yeah.
Apparently that was added in, like, so they premiered this film at Cannes.
Which
and it
is
got
so
booed.
funny.
So they and they re-edited it. And apparently that beginning segment was a
Yeah.
lot of re-edits and exposition dumps because they had to cut stuff
It
out and make
literally
things
didn't
more
exist.
clear. Yeah. It
It
really
literally
shows
has like
because it feels very
storyboards in
cheap.
it. It looks bizarre.
This film does not start strong at all, which is one of the probably the biggest things about it is that the beginning is fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to just say right off the bat, I think I like this movie more than you guys do.
Oh.
Slightly, but I still don't think
Slightly.
it's good.
Okay.
I do like it more than you, and I want to give it another chance maybe in the future because I think this is the kind of film they really want you to see it more than once. Because it's hard as fuck
I don't
to
think the
follow.
film's
Oh my
like
God.
nasty or you know, it's not hateful or cynical, but it's just a failure. It's just bloated. It's full of it's full of so many random concepts and ideas that it's one of those films that to get something out of, you have to read it instead of watch it. Like, you're not even watching the movie at the point where you begin understanding it. Because when you actually do watch the movie, you have these terrible performances with this bizarre dialogue in this terribly, like, constructed sequence of, like, scenes that when they all come together, it's like, okay, I understand exactly what you're doing here. You're trying to dismantle all of this, like, American post 9/11, like, fear and everything that goes into that, and, like, all the gradual build-up of the internet and all of this, like, anxiety of America, like, encapsulated. But Team America World Police is a better deconstruction of America than like Southland Tales is, because it's a consistent film throughout. It earns its, like, premise. It establishes, like, a new universe. It shows characters and has jokes that are funny. Like, the humor is just bizarre in Southland Tales. Did you find any of it genuinely funny?
No,
they have all these
I found most of it
that's one of my
there
biggest
was some
issues
minor
with it,
things I found
is
funny.
that, like, it insists it's a comedy, but if I didn't constantly hear the director insisting it's a comedy, I might not know that it's a comedy. It's just like you can't separate it. It's bad. It just feels bad.
Yeah. And part of that is because of the casting. Like, I know the director did it intentionally to kind of try to shine a light on who he thought were underrated actors, but
Which is
some
so
of the
bizarre.
performances here, The Rock, like, with his weird, like, tics and stuff, he was so embarrassing to watch.
Oh, God.
It was like a parody of itself. I couldn't believe her. And we've been ranting on The Rock, and this was even more proof as to why he shouldn't be playing characters like this.
I am fascinated by how much The Rock has improved as an actor for someone who still can't act. I didn't realize he could be this much worse. But it turns out
I think it's the
that
same
in
level of acting.
2006, he was much, much worse.
He's just playing like a nervous wreck in this, which is not. He's not good at that.
The actors in the movie didn't even seem like they understood the words they were saying. It seemed like it didn't come from a point of, like,
legitimately.
Yeah, this story, like, I understand where the story is going, but they just have no clue what they're saying. They're talking about this, like, fluid karma and the neo-Marxist movement, and it's like it's all this, like, just flowery language that when you actually deconstruct, it's not complicated.
Yeah, it's just convoluted. It's just told in a stupid way that's really impossible to understand. And, like, there was I watched all the special features, by the way, and there was literally, like, a section in this featurette where it's just, like, a compilation of all the different actors, like John Lovitz, just being like, well, I don't understand why my character's in this movie, but I liked it. I don't understand what my goals were.
He was doing.
I don't understand. Yeah, like, every actor showed up on set with the script and was like, I don't really know anything about what my character's about
Justin
or what
Timberlake,
the movie's
he was
about.
even interviewed.
Yeah.
He admitted in an interview that he had no clue what it was about and that it was like dance or something. He said it was like interpretive dance or something like that.
Well, there's a nice musical number in the film. Did you guys enjoy that? It was just Big Lebowski.
It was just Big Lebowski.
It felt
There's
so
a lot of things
up
this
its
film
own
is
ass.
trying to do that I've seen better done in other films. Absolutely.
There was an attempt. It was very ambitious. It reminded me of like one of those bad Andrew Niccol films, like In Time, where it's just like the ambition is high, but you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you're just making a really ridiculous story. And what pisses me off the most about this is like there's this idea that is really heavily insisted by the director. Like he's so far up his own ass that like you would just appreciate it if you just watched it a couple times, or you would like the movie if you understood it. But you have to understand that like just because your story is so convoluted that nobody understands what's happening doesn't mean that you've written a good story. It doesn't mean it's intelligent.
It's bad storytelling.
I watched the movie and then I immediately watched it with the director's commentary. I'm sorry, you're still full of shit. You explained everything that's happening in this commentary, and it's still bad. It's just like, oh, wow, now I kind of understand what some of these characters were trying to do at this moment. You know, I kind of understand this incredibly bizarre and unnecessary sort of like political game conflict that you've written into the film. Like, it's trying to do so many different things at once, and it doesn't succeed at anything that it's doing. It doesn't give any real focus or attention to any one of these single ideas that he's trying to communicate. He's just throwing in as much shit as possible, thinking like, this is how to make a smart movie. I'm going to talk about literally everything at once. I'm going to make this like every single bit of social commentary that is in the film isn't something that you're like, oh, I was confused that this social commentary was in there, because it's also heavy-handed. It's also on the nose, like the Patriot Act, porn. You know, like I understand that you're making commentary on like sexuality and pornography in our culture. I still understand what you were trying to say about it. I don't understand what perspective you were offering on that. Just that you were insisting that you were talking about it. Like it doesn't seem
he's
purposeful
trying to make
in any
fun
way.
of these things, but it's he goes too far to a point where there's a line between funny and just stupid, and he just takes it too far. And there's so many scenes in this movie that are just fucking dumb and obnoxious. Characters or actors, I should say, are trying way too hard to be funny, and it just comes across really kind of embarrassing and obnoxious.
Because half the cast are from SNL, for God's sake.
Yeah, there's a lot of
like
comedy actors in this.
Yeah, it's
just playing like terrorists
it's a
and
comedy.
cops.
It's insisting so hard that it's a comedy,
well, I think
but
it
it's
is.
not funny.
It's kind of like a it's like a superficial. It's making fun of how superficial Hollywood is and the entertainment industry is, mainly like television and the news and reality TV. And I think that part of it was somewhat entertaining, at least for me, because that felt accurate to like how LA really is. It captured the vibe of Los Angeles and how fucking nutball it is, kind of well. In the tone.
Kind of.
Well, you don't live here. What do you know about Los Angeles?
I've been there. I hate it. I wouldn't want to live there. I've been there enough times to know I wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah, that's fair, because I don't... Yeah. But Southland Tales is... I guess he doesn't want to live here either, because it's basically just ripping apart every fucking facet of Los Angeles.
Under the Silver Lake did so much better of a job of that.
Yeah. Totally did. Well, it was way more focused and clear what it was going for.
And more subtle.
Yeah, and had a story.
Yeah, and it's weird to say
it didn't
that
have 25
because, like,
different characters.
Under the Silver Lake, many people could criticize it for not being super subtle. Like it's not really like something that's incomprehensible even on your first watch. Well, I guess like there's many elements to it that you would not pick up for sure, and you'd definitely need to watch it multiple times in order to do that and analyze it. But in terms of what the movie's going for, I found it pretty clear on my first watch.
Yeah, and there's enough of a goal there. Like, he has to find the girl. Like, I know where the story is going.
There's a narrative hook. The film, Southland Tales, has no narrative hook at all.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Like, there's a reason to want to explore Under the Silver Lake more. But, like, I don't know...
Yeah, precisely.
I don't know what the hell this movie is offering in terms of making me want to revisit it. Like, other than the director just insisting I should and reading these 3 graphic novels, like, to explain your fucking movie because the plot's so convoluted. I don't like how, like, every every bit of it just feels so fucking pretentious. How they just keep referencing that Robert Frost poem, like The Road Not Taken. Like, how many times are you going to do that? Stop doing it. Just say it once. Like, it's not subtle in any way. And it's like, I don't know what you're trying to do. I don't know what you're trying to be. It's like he thinks that by throwing these things in his movie that he can say he's made a smart movie. It's like he has the recipe, I guess, but he doesn't know how to cook it. Does that make sense?
No, it wears its inspiration on its sleeve to the point where it barely has its own voice. It's just a clusterfuck of just these random scenes that are like, this part's supposed to be satirizing this part is supposed to be dismantling this political concept. But it's like, where's the part like I should care about? Should I be concerned for these characters that the apocalypse is going to happen? Because I don't care. Like, if the world's going to end, because I don't give a shit about any of these characters or
fucking
the story.
They're all so silly. Yeah. They're all just there to be, like, ciphers to make fun of Hollywood anyway. Mm-hmm. That's what they all
But it's not funny. Like, it doesn't nail any of it, anything that it's going for.
This is the way the world ends. So? Like, what do you mean? There's so many attempts here.
He was so preoccupied to capture that idea, that response he got from Donnie Darko for like, well, we've never seen this before. This is so clever. But like, that film was kind of reined back by producers because he hadn't been proven yet. This seems like a classic case of, like when George Lucas was completely handed the reins and wasn't reeled back by anyone. It's the same thing. He was just given free reign, and it's just this clusterfuck of random themes and ideas that needed an editor, needed someone to be like, okay, a lot of this is really interesting concepts, but we need someone to come in here. We need to take this out. We need to put this in. We need to develop this character here. We need to have a more coherent plot. We got to get rid of this fucking graphic novel, stupid video game bullshit that video games have been called out for doing the last year, where they don't have a story and you have to read shit that's been published outside of the work. That's not okay, I'm afraid.
Yeah, this is the Dark Souls of movies.
Yeah, but worst of all, it's just plodding and boring to watch. Like the flow of the movie is excruciating. It's like a snail's pace. There was a point in the movie where I was like, okay, this feels like I'm at the end, and I paused it to look how much time was left, and I had half an hour left, and I was just like, it's never going to end, is it? This is it. I'm in hell.
This is the way the world ends.
And yet, when the film ended, I was like, "What? That's the ending?"
Yeah.
Like the ending was so unsatisfying.
Shake hands and float up in the sky, and then
CGI blimp exploding. That looked like total crap.
Yeah, there's a lot
Cars
of
fucking each other.
Yeah,
that I liked. That was funny.
That wasn't even funny to me. That was like, okay, come on.
Funny.
Like, it was out of nowhere. Like, it didn't.
It's making fun of
so
like
bad.
how all these car commercials are just a dick measuring context. Like, oh, look how fucking awesome my car is. It's big and it's got the like, big wheels. It's like making fun. I
Wasn't
get
it
that.
about like the fuel?
But that's like a YouTube video.
Listen, in this movie, when it's 2.5 hours long, I'm grasping for fucking straws. That part was like at least somewhat amusing.
Yeah, like take that out of the movie. How does it really affect anything?
No, it doesn't.
Comment
it's a bunch of disjointed pieces, and none of it's telling a full story. And that's why the pacing is so bad.
For anybody who watched that scene and it awoke something in them, and that's their new fetish, I apologize for recommending this movie. You are in for a life of hell. This is the way your world ends.
Yeah, Adam, how do you feel that you recommended this movie?
Well, I mean, I'm glad I finally
watched
it. I mean, like, I'm glad that I finally got to it, because, like, it is very polarizing, and what's fascinating about this is, like, it wasn't just the reception around when it was made. Like, there's people in my subreddit on Twitch that were commenting at me because I've rated the film already on IMDb, and they saw my incredibly low rating for this film, and they were like, damn, why'd you hate this so much? It's one of my favorite movies ever. It's my favorite comedy. There's people like that, and I'm like, not trying to invalidate their experience, but I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to understand the perspective here. And I was kind of hoping one of you guys would just love it so that I could hear the perspective of somebody.
I was hoping for that as well, but I just couldn't.
I like it slightly more.
That,
I get the comedic tone of it. I think I get the tone it's trying to go for. It's just not that funny, is the problem.
It's not funny at all.
And I guess that's a matter of taste. No. Well, because again,
it's just kind of annoying.
It has no point. Yeah. Obnoxious.
Yeah.
Very
but that's also annoying because people will fight that and say, no, it does have a point.
Mm-hmm.
But
people say it's deep because it has elements of like real world controversial issues in it, but there's nothing fleshed out about it. Like, there's government surveillance in it. There's a guy with a sniper rifle who works for the U.S. government who shoots a fucking person.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what is that? What does that mean?
We're not denying that the film is clearly attempting to make commentary on society.
Yes.
Our issue is with its presentation.
It's just not doing it well.
Exactly.
Yeah, because we love films that deal with all of these types of themes.
Yeah.
We've already mentioned a bunch already in this discussion. That's not the problem.
That's all movies it's trying to rip off.
Yeah.
It's just the thing.
It's worse than all of them. It has nothing on Brazil. It has nothing on anything that it's taken inspiration from.
Even Donnie Darko, which he takes a ton from at the end, it's not as good as Donnie Darko. There's like the whole fireworks. There's an exploding kind of aircraft. There's a man who falls from the sky. There's a plane that falls from the sky. There's all these very similar visual story things that are going on. Mm-hmm. It's just like Donnie Darko. It just doesn't work. It's like what you were saying about Ari Aster being, how he could be a one-trick pony, how directors get trapped in just doing the same thing. That's how I felt with this. It's this guy just doing the same thing again. I'm going to make an ambitious, avant-garde, like, crazy movie.
I feel like they're very different.
Because I'm so smart, because I'm such an auteur, and it doesn't really congeal, come together well, in a way that's satisfying for me.
I wouldn't say that this film is his attempt to do Donnie Darko again. I feel like those are incredibly different movies. But what I will say is that I think this film is the definitive proof that I need to call him a hack. Is that he got fucking lucky. Donnie Darko happened to work out. Jake Gyllenhaal carried a lot of that movie too, let's be honest.
Yep.
Yeah, it had a good cast.
Donnie Darko was very similar in the sense that like it used a lot of pre-existing songs for its soundtrack, but in this movie every single one of them feels so out of place. Every single soundtrack choice. Really distracting. It's like, what are you trying to communicate here? Like, you have this song here, it could be any other song because there's nothing that really melds with the tone of the scene that you're communicating. When they're like walking into that futuristic kind of like silver room, and that I don't even remember what song was playing, but literally all I was thinking is like, there's no purpose to this song being the song that's playing here. It could be any song for like pretty much the whole movie. It's just it's frustrating and
nothing really meshes.
Sad.
That's all these great ideas, but they butt each other in the head. It doesn't mesh. You can't force something like this. You can't force a Brazil. It has to naturally happen based on like the progression of your career. He's trying to harness this like, okay, I need to break new ground again, but it's like, no, just tell a good story. Show us something we haven't seen before in a way that is actually interesting.
He hasn't made a film since, because this was a big failure in the box office.
No, he made The Box.
Huge.
Oh, yeah. That's right. And then after that, he never made anything again.
He has like 2 on his IMDb that are listed as in development. I don't know. But yeah, he made The Box, which I think I tried watching when I was younger, and it wasn't. I just didn't even get through it. So he's a hack. Sorry,
I didn't
everybody.
remember that movie existed until you mentioned
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you know that it wasn't even supposed to be 3 graphic novels? It was supposed to be 6, and then that couldn't happen, and so he made 3 instead.
Yeah, because they didn't have enough money.
Yeah.
How about you take that money you were going to spend on a graphic novel and use it to make the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
why
soon as...
do that? How does it enhance
flesh out a better story in the movie, which is what I'm watching.
As soon as you've written something and you've come to the conclusion that you're going to have 6 graphic novels try to explain the 2.5 hour long thing that you've written, you should probably think about rewriting it. You should probably think about maybe the format that you're telling this story in. Maybe you could do a miniseries or something. If all of that information that was necessary in that graphic novel, if all of that would make the film so much better, and the only reason people don't like it is because they didn't read all the graphic novels, why not just make a miniseries? Do something else. I don't know. Go call HBO. See
a trilogy of movies where you follow each character. Yeah. One where you follow Dwayne Johnson, and then there's like 3 kind of plots in this movie. Yeah. There's Sean William Scott, and then there's like the Paris Hilton, kind of played by Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, Buffy.
And even she was like, I guess she mimicked Paris Hilton.
I don't think she did a bad job.
Like there's nothing. I don't think anyone did like a terrible job.
I think Dwayne did a terrible job.
Everyone just seemed confused.
I thought The Rock was embarrassing.
Dwayne
I think he was trying.
terrible.
He was just very confused.
He was so
and he went
miscast,
along with like the over-the-top goofy tone of the movie, I thought.
I don't know.
I'm not saying it was good. I just think he fit. He didn't stand out to me
It's a very strange day when Sean William Scott is not the worst actor in the movie.
He might be the best one,
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, I thought he was the best.
He was
one
better
of the
than John
ones.
Lovitz.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Lovitz just showed up and then shot 2 people and fucking left.
His character just
My
fuck was
jaw
that
was
scene?
agape when he was on screen. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, what was he channeling for that performance?
nobody knows what they were doing. The director's
It's
the
so
only one
clear
that
as well.
thinks that he understands the story, right?
Well, he said he's proud of it. I think he stands by
This
it.
is like
He said it's
the most
misunderstood
proud
by everyone.
he's ever been about a film. So
Yeah. Well, good for him. I'm happy he likes it.
I don't
Like, it's
know.
his movie.
I literally watched through your director's commentary, and I still don't think it's a good movie. So I'm sorry.
I'll give it another chance, pal.
But clearly it speaks to some people. Like
Oh,
if you
clearly
look on
does.
Letterboxd or IMDb, the breakdown is nearly exactly even. The same amount of people give it a 10 and a 1, and then the rest are in the middle. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It
it's
really
incredibly
strikes a response
polarizing.
from people.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I think that's a good quality about it.
Yeah, that's why I'll never like condemn it in the same way I would, the usual garbage we talk about.
Yeah, I think it
it's-
comes from a good place. It comes
Yeah,
from a place of
exactly.
ambition. It's not lazy. I just think it's a
Sure.
failure, like you said. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I appreciate what he was going for. It just didn't really come together well.
It did not.
Yeah, I never want to see it again. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
he got it made, I suppose.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, well, good luck getting something made again.
I'm a pimp,
Because this is so...
and pimps don't commit suicide.
that line. Yeah, what the fuck was that line?
It was the
And
end of the movie.
did that too.
It was the last line of the film.
It was in
Pimps
a
don't
few. It
commit
was in the movie a
suicide.
few times.
I know. Like, there's so many ideas that are just like thrust in near the end of the movie. Like, it doesn't feel like it has a cohesive journey from one place to another. It almost feels like it's well over halfway into the movie where they start talking about like the whole dimensions and like, if they shake hands, it'll cause a rift in the fourth dimension. How do I know that? Because I wrote a screenplay and it's prophetic and I'm able to tell the future through my screenplay,
That whole
and I'm
element,
just
too.
convinced of that. Everybody just completely unironically agrees with this idea of like, oh yeah, if you send a monkey through, that won't work because the monkey will die. It's not strong enough, but its soul will survive. You need to do it with a human being. You're just making shit up. How do you, what is that based on? What justifies that logic? It pisses me off. They just insist things and expect you to go
Yeah.
along with it.
Yeah, because it's so out there.
Yeah. The whole script being in the movie thing was so stupid and played out.
Yeah,
I've seen
the
that a
meta
million
thing
times. Is
got
that whole
really
adaptation?
frustrating.
Yeah, fourth wall break. You were complaining. You talk about that all the time, Alex.
Yeah,
all these
it's one of
fourth
my
wall breaks. How
biggest-
it's so lazy.
Yeah.
And this film does that a lot.
Because when you just say that you're bad and admit to being bad, then no one can say anything. No one can critique you. So it's like, no, we made it this way on purpose. That's what he keeps saying. No, it's misunderstood because I made it bad on purpose. It's supposed to be like this. You just don't get it, dude. I wrote this with the greatest intentions and you're all too dumb to understand it. Get on my level. Drives me nuts, man.
Yeah.
The budget was almost $18 million. And it made...
Isn't that
And
crazy?
it made like $500,000.
Yeah, not even. It made like 375,000.
300.
That's it. There's the gigantic flop. Possibly the biggest flop of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's career. Probably
Yeah.
a bigger flop than Baywatch.
Yeah, if it was released now, it might be more.
Right. I was going to say. Well, maybe that's why he's so paranoid about the roles he picks now, being portrayed as a good guy, because of films like this,
Yeah,
where
he
he's let the
conflates
director do
it for
whatever he
some
wants.
reason.
And it's like, wow, he made me look like a fucking buffoon. I embarrassed myself for 2.5 hours. That's probably what he was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, this was
well.
this was in his early days where he
Yeah.
wasn't.
He was still
I mean,
trying.
he's never been in a good movie really, but where he wasn't in massively successful movies every single time.
He was in B movies,
Yeah.
like Doom. And,
Yeah, exactly.
video game adaptation
Yeah.
movies. And what's that one where that's like the pacifier he's in? The Tooth Fairy?
Yeah.
Like shit like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same poster.
Uh-huh. I feel like that movie's been made. There's one with Jackie Chan, too.
Oh.
It's like kids. He's got to raise kids.
Oh.
And he's a spy.
They've all done one at some point.
Yeah.
They're all the
They
same
have all
movie.
had Schwarzenegger, all of them. They all got that kids movie.
Yeah. There's just so much that feels like it's forced into the movie and doesn't come organically. Like they literally just like immediately break away from whatever plot they were doing, and he's like, I need to go get some money from the ATM machine. And then it's like, why the hell is this? Why is he doing this? And then you realize, oh, it's so that they can rip a scene right out of the Trailer Park Boys and steal it with their vehicle with it attached to a chain on the back of it. And then that will cause the ice cream truck to crash into it and fall over. And it's like, it's just literally just set up so that can happen, and that's it. It's like nothing feels organic. It's also forced. That's one of my biggest issues. Everything feels forced.
These out there movies that don't follow a typical formula, like with the usual acts and are experimental in some way, they need to prove themselves. They need to prove that the reason that they are breaking the formula is because they have a fresh new take on it. They have something new to show us. But the film genuinely doesn't feel like it even had a clear intent at any point. So it's just this like rambling mess that just goes on and on and on. And you're hoping for like some setups and payoffs, but it all just comes out of nowhere. All the exposition is clumsy and not properly explained. Like you just have no clue what's going on. And when you do figure it out, it's like, okay, well, I guess the commentary's there, but to get to that point is such a fucking stretch.
No,
yeah, and you have to read so much into it. It's like, God, this is exhausting to sit through.
Yeah, you don't enjoy
You shouldn't
any
have
of
to
it.
read anything to enjoy a film.
Exactly, Rob. That's exactly what was pissing me off.
You need an
if it was
instruction
presented
manual.
in a creative way.
That all comes after, yeah. If you like the world of the film, you make graphic novels and all that shit after.
Yeah. But yeah, I was thinking about Eraserhead, and that film is out there and weird and doesn't follow a normal structure. But the presentation and like the tone of it all is so consistent, and it's clearly a cohesive vision that even if you don't like, it's like this came from a genuine place that like was thought through, and even if it is confusing, there is something there. You can tell that this is like a voice. But here this is a voice that's just like shouting nonsense.
Yeah, Lynch wasn't trying to make like a groundbreaking masterpiece. He was just making a film.
It's just expressing himself, telling a story.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to make graphic novels and build a world that he could make movies. He just wanted to make a movie.
Eraserhead.
And it worked.
In fact, none of David Lynch's films are nearly as pretentious as this movie.
Well, think about the stories he tells. They're all very simple. Eraserhead was fucking 30 pages long.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. It's
That's
all
what I kept
tone
thinking.
and atmosphere. And this is too much. That's why everything feels so forced.
Keep
because
it
it's
simple,
like when you have
stupid.
80 characters, you got to force them into these scenes in ways that just make no sense because we don't have time to make it make sense.
Like, what were you trying to do? Like, write Lord of the Rings? Like, what are you?
Yeah,
like...
he tried to fit Lord of the Rings into one movie.
Yeah.
But also, if Lord of the Rings was like had 20 more layers of like political commentary and wasn't just about like the fear of war and just basic themes like that with like but being built around characters with a simple
the government's
A to B
oppressive,
story.
man.
The Patriot Act.
Fuck the police, man.
George
the
W.
Patriot Act.
Communism, boo.
Yeah, all these things have been explored before and better.
Yeah, much better.
I still give it credit for exploring them and for trying to kind of be edgy and poke fun at the audience.
It reminds me of that film
way.
that came out this year. God, what was it called? It had Jake Gyllenhaal in it about the art critics.
Velvet Buzzsaw.
Yeah, because Velvet Buzzsaw, it was similar in the sense that it was like, look, modern art's dumb, right? And it's like, yeah, everyone knows this. Like, it's not like a poignant comment on society. Like, everyone knows this. It's the joke every single person on the planet already makes. It's the same thing here.
I think Velvet Buzzsaw was better than this. And I didn't like Velvet Buzzsaw at all.
I hate Velvet Buzzsaw. I think I dislike Velvet Buzzsaw more than this.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. Well, because this is just so fucking crazy that I kind of was just in awe of it.
Towards the end, I'd agree a bit more. Like, at that point, I was like, I might as well try and find something to enjoy. And it does get crazier towards the end, but God, the build-up is so slow and just excruciating to sit through.
Here's a question. What do you think this movie could have done to make it an enjoyable experience? Because I was thinking, like, if I sat through the same convoluted nonsense, but it was actually really funny to me, then I might not hate it so much. If it was just actually funny, then I'd be like, oh, this is a joke, right? And I get that it's insisting it's humor, but I didn't find any of it funny.
Put the plot in the movie,
Sure.
number one. I think that's the biggest thing.
I would say pick a plot or pick a theme.
You forgot
out of
the
all
plot.
these different things. Pick
Yeah,
one.
have elements of all the themes,
Richard
but
Kelly,
pick
you
a central
dropped
one
the
that you want to
Yeah,
focus
a
on.
central character that we follow for most of
The
it.
plot fell out of his pocket on the way to the
An
set.
interesting character, played by an actor who is actually good as well, would help.
Yeah, don't do the whole, I'm going to cast against type. Just get a good actor to play the
You can
part.
do that with like a couple
Who
actors
gives a
maybe,
fuck?
but not every lead. Why
Yeah.
would you do that?
He sought out
Yeah.
actors that he felt had been pigeonholed and wanted to showcase their, quote, undiscovered talents.
So you got fucking Stifler, the Scorpion King, and the Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, to showcase their undiscovered talents. Like,
I don't blame any
what?
of them for the acting, because all of the acting
blame
was
The Rock
bad,
for his
and I blame the
acting.
director for that.
You can't even really blame them. Like,
I blame the dialogue and the fucking directing, because everyone is bad. Even John Lovitz, who we've seen before on Sardonicast in Happiness, and he
Yeah.
was excellent.
Oh, I love
in
John
that
he was
movie.
great.
He's an excellent
But
actor.
here's the thing, though. It's like
Here, he's
just-
fucking terrible.
If you're going to claim that actors have been pigeonholed and you want to showcase their real talents, you would have to have something to justify you feeling that way. You would have to have an idea that The Rock could perform an actual character before you just decide, like, you know, I'm a great director. I can write this character that he's never played before, and he'll do a great job. Like, you have to have some sort of evidence that that's going to work out. Otherwise, it's possible that he's just a shitty actor, and the reason why he's typecast into playing one character is because he sucks even worse at every other character. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you have to understand that there's actors out there, especially wrestlers turned actors, that are not just these, you know, masters at their craft, and the only reason why you see them play one character is because they're typecast. No, some people are just bad, Richard Kelly.
It's just
and you're not
bad-
going to be
it's
this
bad
Quentin
casting.
Tarantino savior of, like, saving
Yeah.
someone's career. You know, you're not going to make a career out of for somebody by creating this
Steven
movie.
Soderbergh.
Yeah, something like that.
Steven Soderbergh making like non-actors into like a porn star into an actor or something. He's not that good at it. These are all experienced veteran directors.
it's cockiness. That's what it comes across as.
Mm-hmm.
When he genuinely thought that The Rock would be a good choice for a neurotic, like, anxiety-filled character, you've just gone wrong already. Just casting against type doesn't just equal good performance. You're right.
Yeah. His nervous tick was very unconvincing. The whole thing he did with his hands.
It was
It
laughable.
felt like the director just told him to do it. Like, oh, you need a nervous tick so your performance
It came
is more
out of
believable.
nowhere.
But it didn't
Character was
feel
doing
like it
it.
was coming from
Yeah, it wasn't
right. It felt
established
like a
until like
direction.
halfway through the movie.
Well, because that's when he starts getting nervous.
I want to
That's
point
what Richard
out,
Kelly would say.
because you mentioned Steven Soderbergh, when he takes non-actors and gets them to act, he's not creating this like extremely out there alternate character that they've never played before. When you get actors who are not actors and you get them to play a character, the way to do that is to write the character in a way that you could reasonably see them act out in real life. Like,
Right.
I forget who said
Yeah,
this,
right to
but
their
like,
strengths.
But I forget who said this, but there's a quote from some director. I guess I'm paraphrasing, saying that like anyone can act. You just have to give them the right character. And I find that completely true. If you know that someone is naturally a certain way, then write their character to be that way. Don't get them to do anything that's like outside of what they would normally do, outside of their comfort zone, talk in a way that they normally wouldn't talk. Like that's what you did with The Rock. I'm sorry, he's not a good actor.
He did that with Gina Carano in Haywire, which is a great Steven Soderbergh movie. And she's a wrestler or an MMA girl. I don't know what I don't know what sport. It's some kind of physical thing. Point is, she's good at fighting, and he makes a good performance out of her because she's like a super badass spy. She's not playing a neurotic like The Rock is in this.
You could make this argument with Zoe Bell's character in Death Proof. You know, she plays it well, but he
you could even
wrote
do that.
her to be her. He wrote Zoe Bell to play Zoe Bell.
I think it's Spielberg who said you find the commonalities in the character and the actor, and you just meld them together. Even if it's not everything, you find the few parts that do. And I don't think anything about this character meshed with Dwayne Johnson,
Not at all.
except the fact
Couldn't
that he
believe
had
it.
that he was a bodybuilder.
For 1
maybe.
second.
It's the same as in the Plinkett reviews. Remember, he brings up how Samuel L. Jackson is so miscast as like a wise Jedi character. When you see how Tarantino writes him like totally to that actor's strengths, and the
Same
difference
motherfucker
in the
again.
performance is night and day. Yeah, exactly.
He's just very passionate and intense, emotional.
So you got to write a passionate and intense character for him.
Yeah, not Mace Windu.
And there are actors out there that can do anything. There are actors out there where it's like you could write whatever character you want, they'll fucking do it. So
yeah,
not to suggest that you have to do that with everybody. Though, exactly.
Those are a select few, and those people get paid lots of money. Mm-hmm. Like Daniel Day-Lewis could probably do it.
Oh, of course.
The Rock ain't Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yep. Tilda Swinton
could probably do
Joaquin Phoenix.
Tilda Swinton.
Tons of great actors.
Basically anyone else.
Yeah. Most people that are not The Rock could play that character better than him.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I don't know if you guys have anything else to say about this movie. I feel like we've talked.
No, I don't think so.
Explained everything we need to say about it. Very ambitious, in the same way that really bad Andrew Niccol film is very ambitious, but that's all you can respect it for. Doesn't work together. It's a narrative mess. It's a disaster. Acting sucks. It's not funny. All of the metaphors and commentary that he's making on society is really heavy-handed and too on the nose. The constant referencing of all these short stories and poems that he's like, oh, I was inspired by this. Just stop fucking talking about it. Reference it once. Don't say it 30 fucking times. Anyway, this movie made me upset. It was just very. It was an incredibly frustrating watch. Way too long. Way too stupid. 2 out of 10. What about you guys?
One irritating film. An irritating, unlikable movie to try and sit through. Up its own bum. You nailed it with there. Like every single element of the movie, not one of it really comes together. I can see how you might be able to pick apart different bits here and there and be like, yeah, this is really working for me. I'm like unraveling this mystery or whatever, and these books are awesome. No, not for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'm never going to see this movie again. I cannot stand it.
Good.
And I know this will piss people off, but half star. Like, I can't stand the movie.
Awesome.
Wow. Well, I don't think you guys get it.
You neo-Marxists, get out of my face.
Get out of my board, normies.
I liked it slightly more than you guys.
Slightly.
It's a unique and ambitious film. I'll give it that.
Yeah, certainly
there
unique.
were like mild things I found. There were some things I found amusing. I enjoyed that like Venice Beach was the hub for like a neo-Marxist revolution.
Okay.
Some things like that. Little moments. But overall, yeah, it's disjointed, messy. It's trying way too hard to be the best film ever when it should just tell a story well. And yeah, I didn't really enjoy it. I would like to see it again, though, at some point in my life, because maybe if I gave it another chance and read the graphic novels along with it, I'd get more out of it.
Have fun.
But yeah, again, it's like it's such a high barrier of entry already. You're just like, go fuck yourself.
Do your homework.
With your movie. I'll just go watch another movie that's 90 minutes long.
I'll just go watch Brazil.
I'll just go watch Drive, like anything over this. So yeah, 2 out of 5 for me.
Nice. I guess I wanted one thing I forgot to mention is like part of what I feel makes this as an unfair comparison to Under the Silver Lake, and something that I feel would really help the movie for me in terms of me not saying it's a piece of shit, would be if it was just like really well shot or something. You know?
Yeah.
If the framing and cinematography wasn't just like entry level, then I could be like, okay, there's this guy with talent here, and he's misdirected. But in it just this movie, it's just all I can think is like, well, he's a hack. He got lucky once. That's it.
Yeah,
like there was
You're
nothing
right.
about
the technical aspects were very inconsistent.
There was no evidence
some things
of
that
talent here.
Pretty good. There was like some set design stuff that was pretty cool, I thought, and like some long takes.
I didn't think any of the set design was
very
good at all.
inspired.
And watching the special features and hear them gush over how amazing they thought everything was. They had this whole featurette on the set design, and I was like, oh my god, it was so unbearable to sit through.
Yeah, I thought the sets
Holy
were okay.
shit.
I enjoyed the sets.
Oh, I didn't think they were great.
Yeah, you really hate this movie. Hey, that's fun.
Yeah. All right.
I enjoyed that part.
Question time?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just stop talking about that movie. Right, let's do some questions then. If you want to leave your own questions for us to answer on this segment on the next episode, head over to the Sardonicast Reddit, where Ralph will leave a thread. And you can ask any question you like. Who's going to start us off today? Oh, here's a relevant one from Omaja, who asks, What do you think of the practice of singers/musicians becoming actors and vice versa?
Good old JT.
Yeah, Justin Timberlake in Southland Tales, of course, which was incredible.
Usually, it's totally dependent on the director when it comes to like a musical performance. Justin
that's
Timberlake is
example,
amazing in Social Network,
exactly,
and then he's terrible in Time or the film we just saw.
Oh God,
Shrek 3.
That scene in Time where he's crying. Oh, that's one of the best things. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's very fun.
There's an attempt there.
Not convincing.
Yeah.
Again, you got to cast him in the right role. He fit the role of the guy who invented Webster very well. Or Napster, whatever the fuck it was.
I guess on this subject, Jared Leto had a band before he started doing acting, and he decided to do acting to help fund his musical projects. So, I mean, like, Jared Leto has certainly been not great in some movies. Like, his interpretation of the Joker, although ambitious, did not work very well at all.
Equal failure.
A lot like Southland Tales. Falls flat.
I think Jared Leto's a much better actor than probably most musicians turned actors. He just needs a little bit of help. He needs somebody who's able to help guide him into what would be a good idea for him to do, but he's not necessarily so bad that he can only be really great if there's some like master director working with him. But he's done some pretty great things.
I think he's worked on bad projects and bad directors, and that's kind of
he's
what
Oscar
dragged
nominated,
him down.
isn't he?
Like that whole he's a good actor. It's just, Suicide Squad's a fucking mess, and David Ayer's a terrible director, so he probably didn't know what he was doing, really.
Yeah.
He wasn't given that guidance, so I understand that.
Yeah.
Who else? Lady Gaga was pretty good in the Born to be a Star, whatever the fuck, the Star is Born.
She played a musician.
Right. But she was good as a musician. Like, you shouldn't cast her as
she was really good.
A neurotic weightlifter who lives in Venice Beach.
See, that's the thing, though, is like it depends on what your intentions are, because there are musicians that would like to be actors and they've always thought about it. Like Lady Gaga apparently was like, I've always wanted to do acting, but I just turned out to do music instead, sort of thing. Like, there are people that are talented in different fields, but there's a lot of the times where you get someone who becomes really successful in one field, and that makes them be really, really cocky and think they can do anything. So you get like a musician turned, Beyonce fucking sucks as an actor.
Lion King, yeah.
There's tons of YouTubers that are like, I'm gonna make a song now. Like, where it's like you were never a musician. You're just using your fame and popularity to make it easier for you, so you can get other producers and like a bunch of auto-tune, and someone will write it for you. And like it's there has to be some sort of passion there to begin with if you're going to do something that's meaningful. It can't just be like,
Russell Crowe.
I'm famous, so I can do whatever I want.
What about like David Bowie? He had a fair
He's in Twin Peaks a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it really depends. I'm trying to think of like the best, most legitimate actor that also does music.
Jack Black.
Well, Russell Crowe has a band, but he's not a good musician. Like, he's terrible in Les Mis. I always make fun of him for that, but he's not a good singer.
5 years.
Finn Wolfhard does
He's good
both.
for like a rock band,
That's an example. Finn Wolfhard has a band.
Yeah.
It's clearly not just a I'm famous so I can do music now thing. Like, he's had a band.
Yeah, a lot of actors have bands just for fun. Like, they do it with their friends in clubs. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Drake's gonna be... No, wait. Sorry, not Drake. Never mind.
How about Will Smith?
No, Drake was in Ice Age 2, Adam. So
he was.
He's tried it.
Yeah, I got confused with him and Jason Derulo, who's going to be in the new Cats movie.
Oh, yeah. And Taylor Swift. She's going to be in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Does anyone remember
you're right.
Oh, yeah.
Marky. What? No. I guess to answer the question, I don't think there's any limitation on just because you're one thing doesn't mean you can't do the other. I just think it has to come from a genuine place. Otherwise, it's just going to seem really fake, and everybody's going to be able to tell.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
I would say if you're a musician, you have like a good shot of being an actor, because it requires some of the same skills, stage presence, and like a confidence, and some amount of acting. You're acting when you're singing. You're conveying an emotion.
Destroying your ego. Well, I wouldn't. I would disagree with you on that last statement. You're acting when you're singing.
Yeah.
I would disagree with you there, depending on what kind of music you're making.
Yeah.
You're not acting.
That's a better way of phrasing it.
If it's coming from like an honest place, it's not like you're.
An
playing
emotion
a
is coming out of you.
Yeah, you're like destroying your ego
you.
and letting yourself be judged at your insides without fear of how people are going to judge you. And I guess that's a quality that is shared by talented singers and songwriters and talented actors.
Yeah. Sometimes I can even find it distracting. Like, he didn't do a bad job at all, but like Harry Styles in Dunkirk was a weird one for me. It's just like, why?
That was just like that Chris Nolan. He's always got to have a weird casting decision.
Yeah, there's clearly people that are just like trying to get their foot in the door into like another industry.
And it makes me wonder how like cynical it is if it was sort of like forced in to try and get another demographic. Because I wouldn't be surprised that kind of thing's done all the time. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Other internet guy has a fun one. Between Adam and Ralph, who can do a better British accent?
Oh, fuck.
Adam wins.
No, do you want me to give you a sentence?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah, please do.
Let's think. Also, something really British. Say this. Oreos are my favourite biscuit in the biscuit aisle, mate.
Oreos are my favourite biscuit in the biscuit aisle, mate.
That was more like Australian.
Yeah, it kind of was. Oreos are my favourite biscuit in the biscuit aisle.
That was kind of like Michael Caine-ish. That was like Michael Caine.
That was better.
There's different kinds of British accents, right? And so
mine's quite a weird one.
Yeah, there's is there somewhere in Britain where people say M instead of Because I've heard a lot of Europeans say
Give me an example.
Instead of not like as in just literally the word They'd be like M.
Like going
Yeah, I've met a lot of people from Europe that will say M instead of
I don't know if that's really a British thing very much. Okay. No, I don't think so.
All right. Maybe they were just weird. Give me another sentence.
What's like a typical British thing? Oh, here we go. What about this? Brexit makes the UK feel like a rainy day all day.
Brexit makes the UK... the words that you've chosen in this sentence aren't like so far off of like in pronunciation from like
I'm trying to think
American
of like a really... Okay, how about like, let's head down to Cornwall for a typical British summer holiday.
Let's head down to Cornwall for a typical British summer holiday. No, I can't. I'm not a good actor.
My brother is from Edinburgh. How about that one?
Let's head down to Cornwall. What's this to say the sentence again?
My brother's from Edinburgh.
My brother's from Edinburgh.
Okay.
That wasn't even that. That was just like it's like I had a stroke or something.
So I don't know if the question called for this or not, but we got to switch this around. Alex, you got to do your best American accent impression. Ralph, say something really American.
You got to give me a sentence.
Yeah. And Alex, you got to do that.
Like a cowboy.
Man, I can't wait to go to the barbecue and eat me some sausages and hamburgers. Say that. That's a very
Do
American
I have to say it in like a high-pitched thing as well?
Yeah, like what were you doing putting on a voice, Ralph? You're already American. Just say it like you would say it.
Well, I talk like a fucking Queen's asshole.
That's America.
With my Italian, I guess technically it's like Italian America.
Sure.
I was trying to go for like Midwest. I don't know why. Anyway, you want me to say the sentence again?
Yeah, say it again.
Yeah.
I want to go down to the barbecue to eat me some sausages and hamburgers.
Man, I want to go down. I need like an accent though, because like so many.
But that is an accent.
English
what are you
people
talking about?
That is an accent.
That is an accent.
Are you admitting that I'm like the default accent?
Yeah.
No,
that Americans.
You know Benedict Cumberbatch, his like American accent. It pisses me off so much because it's like, where in America are you from, dude? Like, people don't speak like that.
It's just general America.
So you want like a southern accent?
Something like that. Okay. Yeah, might be easier for me.
That's what I was trying to do.
But like,
maybe you're better at it, Adam.
Barbecue makes me think of like Australia, so then I start trying to like channel Australia. And
That's very American.
Okay, I'll give you one.
Don't.
Hey, man, I'm going to go eat a burger at the barbecue. Man.
Okay.
Okay, here's a Southern line for you. When I found out I was gay, I drug myself behind my truck.
Well, when I found out I was gay...
You're just compensating for the raspiness. You're compensating for the accent by just adding a raspy voice. From Alabama.
What else am I supposed to do?
I'm American.
I'm American.
Okay.
Say America.
America.
Okay. That's good.
Ralph, give us one more line.
That's the only English you need to know. Oh, what's the New Zealand one? I gotta go make me some eggs.
Okay.
Eggs. Gotta make me some eggs.
Yeah, say it like an American, Alex.
Yeah.
I gotta go make me some eggs.
Very good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you a few pointers here.
American.
Here's how I would say it if I was like really trying to make a genuine American accent. Duh, I gotta make me some eggs. I think you're missing a couple. You're missing a couple of key elements to making a true American accent, Alex.
No, that was great.
Yeah, flawless.
Damn.
I've been to America. I know exactly how they talk. So.
Yeah.
Great question. Let's go back to a movie one. This is one I've wanted to hear from you guys, because Edgar Wright comes up a lot. Crow's Hug asks, how would you rank the movies from Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy from favorite to least favorite?
Ooh, interesting.
I don't know which one, out of us, which ones we kind of like consider the best and whatnot, because it's clear
great.
to me. But
I think they're all great. Anyway,
you can't order them though. You think they're all great, but not.
I think I can.
I've got an order.
I think Shaun of the Dead might be my favorite one.
Me too.
But
I think most people say
End,
Hot
and then
Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz
Oh,
is my least favorite.
Oh,
but
really?
I still love Hot Fuzz.
oh, Hot Fuzz is your least favorite.
I've
That's
never heard
interesting.
that.
I think so. Mm-hmm.
It might be because it's so like the setting of that film is literally where I live, so it hits home hard, like the accents and everything. That's just how people sound around here. So all those like idiosyncrasies of like small town living in England is so perfectly captured in that movie that I think that's why it works extra for me. But my order would be Hot Fuzz as my favorite, then Shaun of the Dead, then World's End. But I like them all a lot.
Yeah, mine would be Shaun of the Dead number 1, Hot Fuzz number 2, and then World's End number 3. I feel like, there's a lot to appreciate about all of them, but the reason why the World's End is my least favorite is because although each of those movies has plenty to like pick up on in terms of like, I guess just like the craft and like how things like fit together, like World's End, they tell the whole story of the movie right at the beginning sort of thing. There's cool, it's all shot really interestingly.
The setups
like,
and payoffs are crazy.
Everything about that in terms of like a technical appreciation level, you can find in all of them. However, what I'm missing in the World's End is like all of these films are essentially like parody movies, and I feel like although they are parody movies, the elements of the films that they're trying to imitate are actually very successful in Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. Like, even though they're parody films, they're still great zombie movies and action movies. I didn't really feel as though The World's End succeeded as much in terms of being what it was imitating. In fact, I'm not even really sure I could point out like specific things that it was trying to imitate other than just like general kind of like alien robot.
I guess like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Snatchers,
I felt like it was a lot less successful at being what it was imitating than those other two films. Like I wasn't scared by anything. It was just like more of like a comedy movie, like a surface level comedy movie in that sense. But
at the same time, I think that film's kind of underrated. I think the characters are really strong in that movie. It's like a really good emotional gut punch towards the end. It's on all three of the films, but it's really good in that one. It's really like subtle and well done, and really adds to the like, character development.
On a story level, I think World's End might be the best one, and I think on a technical level too. Like I really enjoy the fight scenes in that film.
Oh yeah,
I really enjoy the camaraderie between the guys when they're just on the pub crawl. I really related to that and enjoyed that element of it. And then in the second half, it becomes like a crazy science fiction movie, and I enjoyed that stuff too. But it was really the dynamics between the characters I really got the most out of World's End. And then Shaun of the Dead is just a great parody. And I think like Hot Fuzz is the least like well put together of the three, like in terms of action and like setups and payoffs. That's just what I think is the weakest one. But I love all three.
There's a really great interview that Simon Pegg gave on Conan during the premiere of World's End, where he talks about the 12 stages of drunkenness and like what that means to perform it, and it's so great. So I would definitely recommend that. Just definitely check that out.
Yeah, they're all great, and everyone should check them all out.
Yeah, Edgar Wright has not made a bad movie.
Nope.
No, I rewatched Baby Driver recently. I was like, wow, this was actually way better than I remember. This is a great movie.
Awesome.
Very good movie.
Yeah, I'm excited
Scott
for
Pilgrim?
anything he makes.
Yeah, I love Scott Pilgrim more than I think all of these. All of his
that's
films.
Interesting.
The rest of them.
It's also like the most American too, so I think that makes a difference.
Even though it's set in Canada.
I was about to say it's a Canada
at the
movie.
point it came out,
there's
like,
a lot of American pop culture in it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, like the whole like comic book, like video game angle,
Okay.
and just the
North
the
America.
actors and everything.
Americas.
Was just because it was following the Cornetto trilogy, which is so English. Like to me, it was way more, Yeah. Okay, we got an interesting one from Deadpoo Killer for Hooney. What's your favorite voice performance from an animated film not produced by Disney?
Because Scar was going to be the first answer.
Yeah, it's too easy, dude.
I heard the S that Adam was going to sound out. Let's think. I don't know.
Anyone in
Wallace
Anomalisa?
from Wallace and Gromit?
Oh, that's a good one.
I love him. I think he's hysterical. I love that voice.
Gary Oldman is really good in the second Kung Fu Panda. Underrated.
Oh, yeah. I remember him.
He's actually very good.
A lot of great ones in Rango. I guess
I
that's
rewatched
like
that recently too.
It's not voice
Great
acting technically because they recorded the performances and then animated over it.
Yeah.
But it's great. Everyone. Johnny Depp in that. Rattlesnake Jake. Whoever voiced him.
Bill Nye.
Bill Nighy, the science guy.
That guy.
Any others?
Well, I'm trying to think of like some great animated movies.
What about Mary and Max?
Oh yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman did a great job in that. That would probably be my legit answer there. Would be Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like he's certainly playing a character. Philip Seymour Hoffman is a great actor, and it totally shows in his voice performance in that film. So thank you for mentioning that, because otherwise I would have given an answer that probably wouldn't be that genuine. Like I like Brittany Murphy in Happy Feet, but that's just because I like Brittany Murphy. I don't know. She was just doing her same thing.
Can we throw in TV? Should we mention television?
Why not?
There's a lot of famous, like Tom Kenny does SpongeBob. I think he's one of the most iconic. A lot of Simpsons guys I love. Yeah. I think the guy who plays Homer.
It's like Ash Ketchum from Pokemon.
Those are all iconic. Yeah, Ash.
Yeah, not a real answer.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, let's do another one then.
Let's do another one.
Malocco_S. Adam and Alex, if you were to run into Derek Savage in real life, what would you say/do if he recognized you or if he didn't recognize you? ? What would you do, Adam?
If I saw him before he saw me, I would go somewhere else.
Well, what if it was, say it's this scenario, you're walking down the street and you hear him say your name.
Yeah.
So you've got to choose to either turn around and face him or just run. I'd consider running, man.
I would glance and see if he has his sidearm, and base my interaction on whether or not he's packing.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I agree.
Yeah, if he's willing to be friendly, then I'll have a nice conversation with him. I'm not like a really confrontational, mean person to people. I don't think I am anyway. But realistically speaking, he's not a very mature person, so I think he'd... No. I don't know if he ever... I think if he saw me and recognized me and knew who I was, he'd probably find a way to leave before I even noticed him.
Yeah, no,
So
I was thinking the
I
same.
don't think we'd want to interact with each other.
Oh well.
I don't know what would come out of that.
Hopefully never happen.
Well, hypothetically, if you did, let's say like you got locked in the room that separates North and South Korea together.
You're literally trapped in a room.
You're literally trapped with him. Just what would you say?
Obviously, I'd try and
what
be
would you
like.
talk about?
I'd be like, we should probably address the elephant in the room, Derek. And then he might get angry or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, there's just no way to know how he's gonna react.
Yeah.
That's what's so scary to me.
I wouldn't really have much
Like,
to
what's
say
he
to
actually
him.
gonna do?
I would just listen to him.
Adam literally thinks he's gonna shoot him if he sees
Yeah, exactly.
which is impossible. Honestly, I would put it past him to start shooting at you guys if he saw you.
Yeah.
Jesus,
Funny man.
he's a
Interesting
kook.
man at the very least.
He's a cool cat.
character.
He's a meme machine.
Should we do another?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Velv the Hammer 23 can end us for today. What do you think is the biggest waste of great work by an artist on a bad movie? For example, John Williams' score for the Star Wars prequels. I have a general answer. I think it's all the talented CG artists that are just wasted on these like terrible blockbusters.
Yeah.
Like I watched Aladdin the other day and it was just like all the talent, all the rendering that went into this fucking thing. So much stuff could have been there. So my comparison is always look at the difference between the Emoji Movie and Spider-Verse. The same studio, so presumably it's like a similar, group of people. Like they're all talented, but one is a load of shit and one isn't.
I feel like oftentimes it's not that unheard of for like a composer to create a really good score for something that just turns out to be kind of shit. So, like, I'm not a big fan of The Fountain. I'm not a big fan of that movie, but the score's great.
Oh, Darren Aronofsky's.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of The Village, but the score's great. So, like, I feel like that happens a decent amount.
Yeah.
Also, in Noah, same thing happened. The score was awesome, but the movie was just like, bleh.
What a strange film that was.
That had a lot of good elements. It was just the story was stupid.
Yeah.
Because it was from the Bible. But the story was dumb. I liked the visual effects in that movie and the cinematography.
Ralph, did you just call the Bible dumb?
Yeah.
Were rock monsters in the Bible?
It's a little unrealistic.
That
They're supposed to be angels, though. It was his revisionist. It was his revisionist vision of the Bible, even though he's an atheist. So, whatever. He was a great choice. I can't think of it. You guys listed some good ones. Like the score for Oblivion was good, and the movie was okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of movies where there's like one really great performance, but the movie is really shit.
Yeah, I bet we could think of a few if we had time.
Yeah, I mean,
we should put this one in the back pocket.
There's that time where Jared Leto gained like 50 pounds for that, I think, Mark David Chapman movie that nobody saw.
Oh yeah,
just turned out to be shit. Mm-hmm. He became fat for no reason.
Yeah, that was a big poster.
Yeah.
They put him right on the poster. Like, look, it's fat Jared Leto. Go see this movie. No one.
Yeah, I don't even know if his performance was that great, but that seems like kind of a waste of effort.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff's crazy to me, man. These actors killing themselves for a movie. Like what Christian Bale does. He's doing permanent damage.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, because like he went from The Machinist, where he looked actually anorexic, to I think it was Batman Begins, where he was ripped.
And then American Hustle, he was fat. And that was right after Batman.
Yeah. It's so bad for your body, man.
I don't know.
He played Dick Cheney.
I don't know. Is that bad for your... like, it is certainly bad for your body to be either overweight or underweight, but is it...
It's these huge fluctuations.
Permanent damage?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not good for your body. Well, there's like people who gain like a ton of weight and then lose it, and their body, like they still have skin that's kind of folded and whatever, because it's from when they were at that larger state. Like your body just adjusts to these points. But these guys are like, okay, this year I'm really skinny, and then the next year I'm fat, and the next year I'm gonna get ripped. And then they get ripped for like these superhero movies, and they have these ridiculous workout schedules, fucking like weeks after workout before they
12
start.
chickens a day.
If you have like a really good personal trainer, it's not like impossible. But doing
so
it on
much
your
hard
own, it's just Seems ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, there we are.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Here we go. Is there one more question? Let's do one more, and then...
Fine.
Or are we done? Okay.
Okay, we can do another one. Cotton Eye Joe 79. You guys all play video games, so I'm sure you're aware of remasters of old games happening to bring classics to a new audience, i.e. Crash Bandicoot. Do you think this could happen for CGI movies to stop the movie from being dated, or should we just leave them be?
I wouldn't be opposed as long as you can watch both versions. If Disney wants to make Toy Story 1 and the humans don't look terrifying and the dog doesn't look like shit, then have at it. Why not? Just keep the same audio. You could basically have the exact same movie with improved textures and then just reanimate a couple parts of it.
Yeah. Some of the early Pixar stuff I would not mind seeing sort of redone versions of, so they're more timeless. Because I think like now animated movies, it'll be a long time before they look bad, I reckon. Like some of them are so photorealistic, and like I mentioned I watched Rango again the other day, and that film came out quite a long time ago now, but it looks flawless today still. So some films genuinely don't need it, but it's more from that early period, like Toy Story 1, Incredibles 1, anything from around there, where it's an emerging technology which could be updated now. As long as they don't ruin the art direction, because a lot of video game remasters do that.
Yeah.
Like they miss the point of the original art direction, which is a huge issue.
Yeah. It would have to be the same people behind it or something.
Yeah.
Even CGI shots in movies like Jurassic Park, just to slightly improve the dinosaurs. I don't see anything wrong with that.
I would rather have a remastering of Lord of the Rings than a remake.
Exactly, yeah.
Amazon's making a Lord of the Rings show.
Yeah, and they're spending a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
$500 million from what I heard, which is fucking crazy.
That's actually insane. That's like in Avengers, the last two Avengers movies.
Yeah. They have, that's literally the budget of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's one show, one 10-episode fucking season of television. Probably 10 episodes.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, has this ever been attempted? Because, like there's been, like, 3D or, like, 4K re-releases or whatever. Like, there's been improved restorations, or I guess even, like, Apocalypse Now has a new cut coming out. Like, there's definitely been re-releases in that sense.
They normally just reboot, though, because they can make more money.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think it's a lack of faith in whether or not these projects would be as successful, right? Because if you're saying, hey, this movie has already existed, then less people will see it, I think is the idea.
Yeah.
But I think there would be a lot of people that would be interested in seeing the first Toy Story movie, but improved graphics, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge audience for films way after they come out. I hate that like so many people act like a movie exists for a weekend and that's it. And you're never talking about it again.
Yeah.
They come out in video and have whole new lives. Donnie Darko we were talking about earlier, no one fucking saw that when it first came out. And then years later, it got re-released and it was a huge success.
I think that it would be possible depending on how it's marketed. And if Disney was serious about doing something like that, I think they could pull it off. And I think they could get people interested in seeing it because they know marketing. They for sure know marketing 100%. They could get that to happen, but it's just a matter of like, I don't know. You'd think that they'd want to do it just because like, if let's say they marketed the hell out of it, and even if the movie wasn't like the most successful box office whatever of all time, like the amount of money that it would cost to just remaster something is significantly less than just creating something from scratch. So you'd think that there would be a financial incentive in that sense.
It's getting the team back together, I guess, to make sure it's true to its original vision, but that would be the hard part. Like, directors are busy, writers are always busy, like animators and everything.
As long as whoever's doing it doesn't even have to be from the original team, as long as they just don't misinterpret it, as long as it's faithful, then
that's always the risk, though, I guess. Mm-hmm. And as long as the original is available, so we don't get the THX situation.
Yeah, George Lucas situation.
Yeah, what we're talking about, that's what he did. He just did it very poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did it too early.
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
Oh well, doesn't own the rights anymore, so it's not like it matters.
Yeah.
Suck it, George.
Yeah, he might own THX, actually.
Probably.
Is that... If it was under Lucasfilm, then no. But
yeah,
who the fuck knows?
All right.
At this point, Disney owns everything.
Soon enough.
They'll make a THX reboot.
I think it's time for a Ralph Recommends.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to a foreign land called Italy.
Nice.
For a movie called Cinema Paradiso.
Oh, Cinema Paradiso?
So, yep.
Oh, I've always wanted to see that.
It's a great movie.
Awesome.
And yeah, I saw you guys haven't seen it, and I only saw it recently with my brother's recommendation.
Nice. Okay, cool.
He saw it in Italian class.
Awesome.
And he's like, Ralphie, it's a good movie. And yeah, I think you guys will very much enjoy it.
Cool. It's somehow was not on my watch list, even though I've always wanted to see it. Okay.
Well,
weird.
We'll talk about that in 2 weeks.
Well,
be sure to subscribe.
Yeah.
And follow us on Reddit, all that.
If you don't want to get spoiled for Cinema Paradiso, watch it before the next episode, which will be published approximately 2 weeks after this episode is public. If you want to support the show, $2 a month, sardonicast.com. Sign up for premium. You'll get these episodes early when they're edited. Also, patreon.com/sardonicast. Same thing. $2 a month. Also, we have merch. Buy that.
That's right.
Merch.
It's nice.
Yep.
Buy that merch. Logan Paul wears it every day. And Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Their shit is out of fashion. Fuck that. Get yourself a Sardonicast hoodie.
Yeah, Jesus.
With our faces on it.
What are you even doing with your life? You don't have a Sardonicast hoodie. All right. Thank you all for watching or listening, or both. Thank you so much. We love you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you, everybody.
Peace.